Blackboard has been able to do is create, through its Learn platform, a set of APIs that enable partners and schools to create essentially apps, just like you have apps for your iPhone or for your iPad, things that can be quickly downloaded and integrate in rich new functionality for teaching and learning. And we shelter this under an umbrella called openness. The other two dimensions of this are how do we make it easy for customers to get information into the Blackboard system and out of it using standards like the IMS Common Cartridge, the IMS Learning Tools Interoperability Standard, and others. And so the third piece of that, which I think is the part that would be most interesting to review, is a new initiative we have around making it very easy to, after you've put all of this information into Blackboard and recorded all of this student activity from semester to semester to semester, and all this teaching activity from semester to semester, how do you pull that information out and take all that data that you have and make it into real, useful, actionable information? And so the Open Database Initiative is a very powerful set of three technologies. The first is that you can take we have provided everything in Blackboard gets pushed into a relational database, either Oracle or SQL Server. That data is stored in tables, fields, views, just like any database. But and many vendors use relational databases. What we've done, and I think this is really important, we've now provided complete documentation for our clients of that schema, all of the entities, and how they relate to one another. We've also provided examples of how to actually get certain useful information that people want out, and sort of standardized queries that you want to run against the system. So you can, how do I determine who's enrolled in what class? I want to see enrollments over semesters. How do I begin to track that data to extract it, say, data mart, or pull it out? Now, just adding information about the schema is really helpful for clients.
Yes, it is.
And that schema documentation is actually maintained with the software, so that with every version that gets updated, we actually have, you can see no matter what service pack or hotfix you want, you can actually see the information about the schema in the system. And all the tables are basically enumerated and explained in a self-documenting system. Now, the second part of that technology is that's great, but what tool should I use to actually run reports against the system? And that tool we've done is we've worked with an open source group called BERT, Business Intelligence Reporting Tool. They're very familiar. They're actually sponsored by Actuate, which is a well-known business intelligence solution. And in fact, you can take BERT reports and move them into Actuate if you want to move up to a more sophisticated kind of product. And the BERT technology enables schools to use an Eclipse editor, which is a well-known developer environment, to do basically point-and-click report authoring. You create the report, and then you can run it from the Eclipse IDE against Blackboard. So you can just run your reports from there and then print them out, do whatever. But that's not even the best part. The best part is now we've taken a third part of our technology, which is the building blocks technology, those apps I was talking about. You can now take those apps, you can now take those reports, drop them into these building blocks, upload them into the system, and now you add reporting capabilities for instructors, individual students, instructors who want to look at individual content items and how they're being used and how they relate to other elements of the system, or even at the administrative level, so you can provide reports to your senior leaders, and they can simply go into Blackboard, point and click, and run those reports. And those reports can be, because of the BERT framework lets you do this, download PDF, HTML, Excel, and various other common formats.
Well, that's very interesting.
So it's all built into the system, and you provide all three of those.
One of the things that we're doing as part of our public forum and actually Linux is posting vendor case studies, white papers, descriptions.
Right.
Do you have some electronic materials you can send us?
Those are in progress, and I will be able to send those to you. I can anecdotally talk about a couple, and I will have some on these. I probably can send you one of these right away. The first is there's a community of practice that we helped launch as part of this, because look, we saw that customers have common reporting needs. They need to tailor those reports often for their individual institution, but they have common things they want to look at and understand. So we brought together a few clients and actually gave them a grant that we called a greenhouse grant to build a building block that would contain a set of pre-canned reports related to very common things that they wanted to look at. And they then built those reports collaboratively, and they've now got a community and they have a listserv that's hosted by the University of Illinois Chicago, which you can find on the UIC listserv site, called Project Astro. ASTRO.
Right.
And they have then provided to each other this building block that they share in a community source model. And they want you to join the listserv to actually get access to the reports so that they're not charging you, but they want you to participate in the community. They're not saying you have to, but they want to know who it is and they want to be able to talk about it more openly. And the idea is people will then begin to share their reports with one another through this informal process and build this Astro tool more and more to provide more rich analytics based on, the request that my boss asks for a report this week, your boss is going to ask for that report in 2 or 3 weeks. And if you build the report or we talk about it, then at least when I have to go build it, I can use this Astro tool, which uses all of our infrastructure to go in and enhance that.
Well, we will definitely put in a link to Astro into our community so we can share some of those ideas. So, in terms of the future, where is Blackboard going in the future with these directions?
Well, I think there are two things. One is we're going to continue to develop our outcomes project. And outcomes is not just about analysis, it's about being able to walk through the project of accreditation and taking a program evaluation. So if you were going to look at your academic programs, there's a certain level of data analysis that needs to happen there, and there's a certain level of activities that need to happen based on that analysis. So you need to be able to drive people to say, okay, we've now defined that we want to improve in these 3 areas based on this dashboard. This dashboard is going to give us the update every week of what's going on. And then we're going to go do a monthly report where we meet and check in on these programs and see how are we improving our teaching of English, remedial English for our freshman students, and how's that driving our retention rates. So you can pull that information together through outcomes and drive that, and that's really what outcomes is about, and that's a big solution. Then our other element is just to work with the community and through our partners to enable them to build value for you on top of our existing platform. So for example, we just partnered with SunGuard, who has a product called Signals that has for a long time plugged into a lot of data from administrative systems to look at factors related to student retention, particularly first year students and how they're going to be retained, identifying at-risk students, and then looking at behavior profiles to determine whether they're failing or succeeding. What they've never been able to look at until now is the LMS. But if you think about it, is some of the most predictive data out there.
Sure.
John Purdue, who developed the Signals technology or John Campbell, who developed the Signals technology at Purdue, actually found 44 significant identifiers in his EDUCAUSE research. And something like 20 of them were out of the LMS. So by adding in those significant identifiers, I think that Signals is now a better product. And so they've launched Course Signals, which is a building block for Blackboard, and they're able to leverage this open database that we have and take that data and build a meaningful new application on top of it. So it makes the LMS more valuable, and it makes SunGuard's product more valuable, and it delivers more information to the customer. I think that's really a great win for everybody.
No, that is a great win. We've interviewed the SunGuard people about that, so we have that in our body of knowledge. Well, this has been very useful. Send me the electronic information when you can.
I definitely will.
And we will definitely be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Donald.
Thank you. That was excellent.
All right, let me